It began with a certified envelope, the kind that feels expensive and carries weight, both literal and metaphorical. My brother, Ethan, had sent it. Inside was a card, thick and creamy, announcing his pre-wedding financial summit. Not a celebration, not a party, but a summit. My name was already checked on the RSVP. When I called him, he cut right to the chase. You got the invite? Good. We need to secure our future, Alex. You understand. And of course, our mother called the very next day. Her voice was that special blend of pleading and unshakable expectation. Support him, Alex. He's finally being responsible. He deserves this stability. The translation was clear. Write the check, don't ask for details. So I wired $15,000 for what was described as a joint investment portfolio seed fund. A week later, a text message lit up my phone, clearly misdirected from my brother to his fiancée, Isabel. Down payment secured for both. The coast is clear until the new year. I stared at the screen, my blood cooling. There was no investment portfolio. There was a down payment. For what? I could only guess. I didn't reply. I didn't scream. I simply opened the family investment fund I managed, the one our grandparents had set up, which I'd been overseeing since I'd proven marginally more competent with money than anyone else in the family. I adjusted his quarterly disbursement, slashing it by 60%. Then I reviewed the deed to the downtown condo he lived in, the one where my name was on the title as a co-owner. At 7:03 the next morning, he was at my door, his fist hammering against the wood. "You have no right," he shouted, his face flushed with a fury I knew all too well. I opened the door, holding a mug of black coffee, and looked at him. He was 30 years old and still believed the world owed him everything. And apparently, I was his personal treasury. The envelope hadn't been a request. It had been a summons. Ethan and Isabel, a foundation for forever, the card had read, with flowery script about building a legacy. It was all buzzwords and no substance. Financial summit was just a fancy term for give me money. When I tried to ask what the funds were actually for, he'd been deliberately vague. It's for our shared future, Alex. A solid foundation. Mom gets it. And Mom did get it. She always got his version of reality. He's turning a corner, she'd insisted on the phone. Isabel is good for him. He's thinking about his long-term security. This is what family does. We help each other build. I'd heard some variation of this speech my entire adult life. Ethan was the dreamer, the free spirit. I was the pragmatist, the rock. These were just polite family terms for irresponsible and enabler. So, I'd wire the money. $15,000. A significant chunk, but I could manage it. I told myself it was for his future, for a real start with the woman he loved. That misdirected text shattered the illusion. Down payment secured for both. It wasn't about investments. It was about acquisitions. And the coast is clear part confirmed it was a deliberate deception. I didn't confront him. I took action. The family fund was my domain, a responsibility foisted upon me because Ethan could never be trusted to balance a checkbook. I reduced his disbursement immediately. Then I looked at the condo. I'd co-signed the purchase years ago, another in a long line of rescues. The property taxes were due in 3 months. I decided then and there I would not be paying them. He stormed into my house, not waiting for an invitation. "You cut my allowance? What is this, kindergarten?" He spat, his eyes blazing. I took a slow sip of coffee. "Where's the investment portfolio, Ethan? The one I just seeded." He froze for a fraction of a second, a telltale flicker in his eyes. "That's private. It's being managed. It's $15,000 of my business," I said, my voice even. "It was a gift. You don't get to control a gift. A gift is a birthday present." This was capital for a specific, stated purpose that now appears to be fictional. He muttered a curse under his breath and paced my hallway. Our parents had always called him sensitive and artistic, which translated to a complete inability to handle any form of criticism or consequence. My entire life had been a series of cleaning up his messes. He was the one who dropped out of college to find himself, which involved maxing out the credit cards our parents had given him for emergencies. He was the one who started a bespoke, artisanal candle business that went up in flames, leaving behind debts I was expected to help settle. When he decided he needed to own, not rent, guess who was there to make his application look stronger? Me. And when our grandparents passed away and left the family fund, who was named as the trustee because Ethan shouldn't be burdened with the stress? Me. His engagement to Isabel had been whirlwind. They'd met 8 months ago. She seemed nice, but vague, floating in Ethan's orbit of grand plans and minimal execution. The financial summit was their latest and most audacious scheme. And our mother, as always, was their chief lobbyist. He's finally settling down, she'd said. Don't undermine his confidence by nitpicking. I hadn't nitpicked. I'd paid. And now I knew I'd paid for a lie. The text about the down payment changed the equation. This wasn't just my brother being flaky. This was calculated fraud. Keep the story till Christmas meant they knew it was wrong, and they planned to hide it. So I logged into the fund's portal and executed the change. I also drafted a letter to the property management company, inquiring about the process for removing my name from the condo's title. By the time he was pounding on my door, the gears were already in motion. "You can't mess with my home," he yelled, now standing in my living room. "It's my name on the title, Ethan. If I'm underwriting your life, I have a say in how it's lived. And I'm no longer underwriting deceit. This is because you're jealous. You've always been jealous that I live my life, and you're just a spreadsheet." I didn't rise to the bait. This is about $15,000 and a lie. Show me the investment statements. Show me anything that proves that money went where you said it would. He had nothing. He blustered. He deflected. He tried to make it about my lack of faith. Then he pulled out his phone. I knew who he was texting. Our mother. Right on cue, 20 minutes later, my phone rang. "What is this nonsense with your brother?" she demanded, her voice tight with anxiety. "I've stopped funding his deception," I said calmly. "He told me you're trying to take his condo. If he can afford a down payment on whatever both refers to, he can afford his property taxes." There was a long silence on the other end. "You're being cruel. Family supports each other." "It's interesting how that support only flows one way," I replied. She launched into her well-rehearsed monologue about how I'd become cold since my career took off, how I'd forgotten the meaning of family, how Ethan needed my protection. I didn't interrupt. I just let the words wash over me, their power fading with each familiar syllable. The problem wasn't the money. Not really. It was the pattern. Ethan would concoct a scheme, our parents would validate it, and I would be expected to bankroll it. This time, the price tag was just higher and the lie more brazen. My father called next, his tone one of weary disappointment. "Son, can't we just smooth this over? For your mother's sake?" "No," I said. "We can't." I was done smoothing over the cracks in the foundation of Ethan's life. By the afternoon, Ethan had shifted tactics from rage to desperate negotiation. "Just reverse it," he pleaded over the phone. "We can discuss the investment tonight." "There is no investment," I stated flatly. "There is a down payment you try to hide." At 6 p.m., I sent a group text to our parents and Ethan. "My house, 7:30. Bring Isabel. We're settling this now." My father replied instantly. "This is unnecessary drama." I wrote back, "It's necessary accountability." They arrived at 7:35. Ethan had perfected the look of wounded pride. Isabel clung to his arm, her eyes wide and anxious. My father marched in like a general entering a court-martial. My mother hovered near the entrance, a silent, worried ghost. I had my laptop open on the dining table. Before anyone says a word, I began, "We're going to look at the facts." My father scoffed. "Must we do this, Alex? It's undignified." "So is theft," I said, and the word hung in the air, heavy and sharp. I pulled up the wire transfer record. $15,000 to Ethan's personal account. Then, I opened another tab. An email confirmation from a luxury car dealership for 2 separate deposits on 2 high-end electric scooters, the kind that cost over $7,000 each. The dates matched. Ethan paled. Isabel looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. I then displayed the damning text message on the large monitor. Down payment secured for both. The coast is clear until the new year. My father tried to salvage the situation. Perhaps the investment is through the dealership. They're a growing company. Perhaps, I said, my voice dripping with skepticism. I opened the email account I had access to for fund-related matters. A search for investment, portfolio, financial advisor. Nothing. No statements, no prospectuses, no correspondence. "Stop," I said. "This is simple." The money was not used for its stated purpose. It was used for expensive toys. You lied to get it. Ethan found his voice. "It's for our commute. It's a green initiative. We're reducing our carbon footprint." With my money, I countered, in a fabricated story. Isabel finally spoke, her voice a timid whisper. "We were going to tell you after the holidays. We just didn't want the scrutiny." My father seized on this. "See? A miscommunication." I looked him dead in the eye. "Do you accept miscommunications on your tax returns? Because this is the same principle." He flinched. "Don't be dramatic. I'm being precise." My mother finally spoke. "Can't we just apologize and start over?" "No," I said. "We can have restitution and boundaries." I slid a single sheet of paper across the table. "Here are the options. 1. Cancel both orders by Friday. The deposits are returned to me. I restore the disbursement to its new, reduced level and remain on the condo title until the tax payment is due. 2. Keep the scooters. Sign this legally binding repayment plan. $1,500 a month for 10 months. And I file the paperwork to remove my name from the condo title. 3. Refuse both. The disbursement stays cut, and I notify the property manager that I will not be responsible for the upcoming tax bill." Ethan's voice was a strangled cry. "You can't remove yourself from the title. The bank will call the loan. You have 3 months to refinance solely in your name," I said. "Provide proof of income or sell. Your choice." My father slammed his hand on the table. "You're destroying your brother's life over a mistake. I'm ending my subsidization of his lies." He leaned in, his face close to mine. "Family helps. Family. Family doesn't steal from family and then send gloating texts about it," I said, holding up my phone. Isabel started to say that text was just... Finish that sentence, I challenged. She fell silent. Ethan tried the victim card. "You've always looked down on me. You set me up to fail by controlling all the money. I manage the money because you've proven yourself incapable of doing so," I replied. "You call it control. I call it accountability." My father pointed a trembling finger at the laptop. "You're enjoying this. You love having this power over him." "What I enjoy," I said slowly, "is not being treated like a fool." He switched to his soft, paternal tone, the one he used when he was about to ask for a major favor. "Son, please, for your brother's happiness, for Isabel, just restore the funds. We'll make sure the investment happens." "It's September," I said. "You announced this foundation in July. Where are the account statements? Where is the financial advisor's name? Where is any shred of evidence that this was ever about anything other than 2 ridiculously expensive scooters?" Ethan and Isabel exchanged a panicked look. I turned the screen back to them. And before you try to call my bluff, I already spoke to the dealership. The deposits are fully refundable if the order is canceled before the vehicles arrive. They're scheduled for delivery next week. Ethan snapped. Fine, we'll cancel them. Are you satisfied? Thrilled, I said flatly. Choose option 1. Sign here, authorizing the cancellation and the direct refund to my account. My father tried to stop him. Ethan, don't sign anything under duress. To my surprise, Isabel spoke up. We should sign it. Ethan whirled on her. Traitor, I'm the one who doesn't want to be homeless, she retorted, her voice firmer now. He glared at the paper, his hand shaking as he picked up the pen. I'll sign if he apologizes for this inquisition. No, I said. There will be no apology for facts. Sign, or I default you to option 2. He scribbled his signature, pressing so hard the paper tore. Good, I said. Email me the cancellation confirmations by Friday at 5 p.m. If I don't receive them, option 2 is automatically enacted. My father stood, his chair scraping loudly. We're leaving. Before you go, I said, producing another document. These are amended terms for the family fund. From now on, any disbursement over $500 requires itemized receipts. No receipts, no funds the following month. All large requests require a formal, detailed budget proposal. Ethan laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. You can't just change the rules. I'm a trustee, I said. I can and I have. My father's face turned a deep crimson. Your mother and I will have you removed. You could try, I said. It will require a lawyer and a judge, and I will be sure to enter the Scooters and the fraudulent financial summit into the court record. Do you want that fight? My mother whispered, Robert, let's go. She tugged at his sleeve. He shook her off, but finally turned and stalked out. Isabel followed, not meeting my eyes. Ethan stopped in the doorway. I will never forgive you for this. I know, I said. Friday, 5:05. The door slammed. The silence that followed was profound. I immediately scanned and emailed the signed agreement to my lawyer. I set a calendar reminder for Friday at 4:55 p.m. I drafted the email to the property manager, ready to send if they failed. The week passed with a tense silence. On Friday, at 5:04 p.m., my phone chimed. 2 emails arrived. Cancellation confirmations from the dealership. A third message, from Ethan, was a wall of text about how I had shattered his trust and emasculated him in front of our parents. No acknowledgement of his own actions, just blame and vitriol. I restored his disbursement to the new, lower amount and forwarded him the new fund guidelines. My father called 10 minutes later. Are you proud of yourself? I'm at peace with my actions, I replied. This isn't over, Alex. For me, it is. He hung up. The refund appeared in my account the following Tuesday. I didn't announce it. I simply forwarded the confirmation to Ethan and set a reminder for the property tax deadline. Then, I did something I hadn't done in a decade. I went for a hike and left my phone in the car. The air smelled of pine and damp earth, and for 2 hours, no one demanded anything from me. The fallout was a low-grade hum. Ethan stopped posting on social media about his entrepreneurial journey. Our parents were cold and distant. The silence was initially unnerving, then it became liberating. I slept through the night. I started cooking proper meals. I blocked my uncle's number after he texted asking for a small loan for a can't-miss opportunity. I looked at my calendar and saw empty weekends, and instead of filling them with errands for my family, I left them blank. A month later, a tenant in my rental property moved out. A year ago, I would have offered it to Ethan at a family discount. This time, I listed it at market rate and had a qualified tenant within days. The income was mine, to keep or spend as I saw fit. My mother called, her voice thin. Your father is very upset. He feels you betrayed the family. Ethan betrayed my trust, I said, and you enabled him. She sighed. You could have been more gentle. He could have been honest. A few days later, Isabel messaged me. The cancellations are processed. We're moving into an apartment. Good, I replied. It's a start. She wrote back. He's furious, but I'm tired. I didn't know about the condo title. You do now. You have 3 months. I returned to my life. Work, running quiet evenings. I had drinks with colleagues and didn't once have to check my phone for a family emergency. I donated to a local animal shelter and didn't feel the need to justify the expense to anyone. Ethan tried one last gambit, telling a twisted version of events to a family friend. The friend sent me a concern message. I responded with 4 images: the financial summit invite, the wire transfer, the scooter deposit confirmations, and the cancellation emails. The reply was immediate. I see. I won't bother you again. The attempted smear campaign died before it began. My father proposed a peace talk at a neutral cafe. He arrived ready for a debate, but I lay my terms bare before he could even order coffee. I will not be increasing the disbursement. I will not be renewing my guarantee on the condo. I will not be funding any more of Ethan's fantasies. If he needs help with genuine necessities, it will require documentation and a plan. This is not negotiable. My father called it a heartless ultimatum. I called it adulthood. 2 weeks later, Ethan texted late at night. Emergency. Can't make full rent. Need help. I wrote back. Send me your and Isabel's last 2 pay stubs and your budget for the next 3 months. He responded with a string of angry emojis. An hour later, Isabel sent the documents, along with a screenshot of a budget spreadsheet. We're short $400, she wrote. I Zelled her $400 with the memo. Loan. Repay by end of month. She replied, Understood. Thank you. Ethan never acknowledged it. The word slowly spread through the extended family that the Bank of Alex was permanently closed. People adjusted. They found jobs. They downsized. They learned to live within their actual means. My father's guilt trips lost their potency when they no longer yielded results. Even my mother began asking Ethan, What's your plan? And waiting for an answer instead of immediately calling me. My own life expanded in the quiet. I finally upgraded my own worn-out laptop. The salesperson tried to upsell me on a model with features I didn't need. No, I said, this one is honest. It does what it says it will do. He nodded, not understanding the depth of my statement. In the final week before the condo tax deadline, Ethan called, his voice unervingly calm. We've listed the condo. We found a small rental. Good, I said. It's a studio. It's not what I'm used to. Neither is financial integrity. You'll adapt. There was a pause. Isabel is picking up more shifts. Good for her. We'll be okay. I know you will. He didn't ask me to reconsider. He didn't thank me. He didn't yell. It was the first civil conversation we'd had in years. The day they moved out, Isabel texted me a picture of a nearly empty studio, with 2 mattresses on the floor and a single lamp. Fresh start, she wrote. It looks manageable, I replied. That evening, I went out with friends. We talked about movies and sports and silly personal anecdotes. No one asked me for money. No one needed a favor. The bill came, and we split it evenly without drama. Walking home, I realized the constant low-grade tension in my neck and shoulders had vanished. The ever-present anticipation of the next crisis was gone. Later that night, a number I didn't recognize sent a text. Hi, this is Isabel's brother, Ben. She told me what you did. It took guts. Thank you. She's been in a shadow for too long. I read the message several times, a strange feeling of closure settling over me. I wrote back, tell her to stay in the light. Before bed, I logged into the Family Fund portal and set up the final automation. Disbursements would be paused if monthly receipts were not uploaded by the 5th of the following month. The system was now impartial, a set of rules that would enforce themselves. I slept a deep, untroubled sleep. In the morning, I made coffee and sat on my balcony, watching the city wake up. It wasn't a triumphant feeling. It was a quiet, steady sense of ownership. My life, my time, my resources, they were finally, unequivocally mine. I had drawn a line in the sand. And on the other side, I found a freedom I hadn't known I was missing. The noise was gone, and in its place was a peaceful, resonant silence.